All right, guys. I am really happy to be joined by this next guest right here. Obviously, it's been a difficult few weeks for him, and I appreciate him joining me during a tough time. He is Elias Lopez, wrestler known as Doomsday. He was there the night of the Roger Jackson situation with Stu, and he joins me here on the program a few weeks removed. Elias, I appreciate you joining me, man. I know it's been a pretty up and down, mainly down time for you over the last few weeks.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, I'm grateful for you like giving me the opportunity, but more so spotlighting Stu and spotlighting the GoFundMe, along with giving Epic, my buddy Epic, a platform. So thank you, man.
Yeah, so just on that, I've got the link in the description below. I encourage if you guys have any money, a couple of bucks lying around or even more, jump on. You can click below. You can donate to Stu. It's really encouraging to see that he's been able to raise a little bit of money so far. I think it's just over $200,000. But Elias, just for people at home that don't understand, this money will go towards not only just medical treatment, but loss of income
Hmm.
for his family. And,
Right.
even though that is a good amount of money, it doesn't go far. Every dollar really still does help.
Absolutely. Every dollar, like every bit helps, even if it's a small bit, even if you can just donate like maybe $20 to $15, any little bit helps. And it's really heartwarming to see like the wrestling community just like become united over something like this. It's pretty nice to see, and I'm grateful that they're so in support of Stu.
Mm. Hey, just break it down for me a little bit, man. Like, what was your relationship with Stu? I know you guys are all from the same sort of wrestling school and in the same promotion, but just for those that don't realize, what was your relationship like with him? Was he someone that helped sort of get you along in your wrestling journey, and was he a part of it for you?
Yeah, so I started back in 2022, and I do before I get into that, I do want to say um, I am 18, but Doug just confused the ages because that's how Doug met me. Doug met me when I was 16.
Hmm.
So I first joined the school in 2022 in July, and I ended up getting hurt in October of that same year. I had two concussions back to back, and they were pretty severe. I had bleeding in between the brain and my skull because of the concussions, and it ended up like I ended up having two seizures because of it. Doctors had to run multiple tests, and they were like, "We're not sure if you can wrestle again." So I was like pretty low, and then tests came back, and they were like, "Okay, you're gonna need time off, but you can wrestle eventually." When I first came back, one of the first people to help me along and be like, "All right, kid, get in the ring. I'm gonna help you out. We're gonna get you back to speed," was Stu. And because Stu is an alumni there, he's so respected and he's like such a coach there to everybody. But to me personally, he was one of the first ones to be like, "All right, come in the ring with me. I'm gonna help you out. We're gonna do this training. We're gonna slowly build you up. We're gonna take baby steps to getting you back to 100%." So, and like even when like I would do some of my first matches being like turmoils, the one that was usually like the vet in that match was Stu. He'd always look around for me and he'd be like, "All right, you come here. Me and you are gonna work, and then I'm gonna protect you." So Stu always looked out for me, and Stu's always been a coach for me. So to me, he's both a friend but also a mentor to me.
Mm. Yeah, and this is great to hear, man, because I know there's some people out there saying maybe some negative stuff about him, but all I'm hearing about Stu is he was quite supportive to the boys in the back, and he was someone that was a little bit of a leader. What is your
Yeah.
response to, for example, I know Rampage Jackson, he was on Ariel's show yesterday, and he spoke about how disappointed he was about Stu hitting Raja over the head with the can. From your perspective, though, it seemed like it was just a bit of a misunderstanding. I don't think Stu would just go into business for himself, just like go
No.
up to a random person and hit him in the head with a can.
Yeah, no, and that's to me that was kind of the first red flag of like something's weird about this whole thing because I've never once seen Stu randomly crack a beer can over somebody's head. If he knows they're a worker, maybe you'll like see him jokingly chop like one of the boys, but like that's because he knows everybody there. So with that whole situation, I was already like kind of confused. And to be like honest, I can't tell you the full like reason. I don't know if somebody told him to do that. But I'm not one to sit there and speculate about everything. As far as like Stu hitting him though, to me that felt completely out of character, so I have no idea. But I can confirm that like I've never seen Stu do that. I've never, because again, Stu, he plays such this rough and tumble character in the ring, but really he's just like the sweetest guy you could meet. Like he's genuinely such a kind soul. So to me already that felt like something was off already.
Mm. So obviously you're a part of the match where Raja will be eventually running in. From your perspective, what did the promoters say to you ahead of this match? Did they clue you in at all? Like, hey, look out for the finish. This is what's going to happen. Like, what did you and Stu really know about Raja's involvement here?
So to tell you the truth, I didn't know about Raja's involvement until the first match was happening. So we were match 4 of like a pretty lengthy card. I don't remember the exact number of matches, but we were match 4. I didn't know about Raja's inclusion to the match until like match 1 was already going out there to their entrances. And it was my tag partner Timmy Handsome who was like, "Hey, Rampage Jackson's son is in the crowd. He's getting involved with our match." And to be so truthful with you, I genuinely thought like Timmy was ribbing me. I was like, I even went, "Yeah, sure." Like Rampage Jackson's son's in the crowd, and he like just stone faced looked at me. And was like, "No, he's sitting in front row." And I was confused. I'm like, okay, what does he have to do with our match? Like again, I know who Raja Jackson is because I have friends who are fans of Raja's streams, and I personally am a fan of Rampage. So I was confused. I'm like, what? He was never advertised for our show. I didn't even know he was going to be here. Timmy ends up telling me, okay, I guess that there was an altercation with him and Stu. So I'm even more confused. I'm like, okay, that's weird. And I end up looking it up. Sure enough, the clip is already like on TikTok of, oh, wrestler cracks Raja Jackson overhead with can. And I was like, when was this? Timmy was like, I don't know. This just happened. This was all being streamed. We don't know if he's still streaming right now. So at that point, I'm like, okay, already that's major red flags are going off in my head already. So while we're setting up the match, then it comes to, okay, so the spot with Roger is going to be, Roger's going to come in, give Stu a single punch. Me and Timmy were working the heels. So they were like, Stu's going to get punched by Raja. He's going to sell out. And then we're just going to like beat on Stu. And then the other good guys come in. They're going to beat us out. And then the finish is going to happen. And another team slides in and wins, pins Stu. That was the plan. And to tell you the truth, the one that I was getting this information from was Stu himself. Stu was the one telling us what the spot was going to be, but I never, and like I watched the full stream. Raja was never brought backstage to talk about this with us or like even discuss what was happening in the match with everybody in the match, which never happens. Like that's, even if it's like another wrestler doing a run in, there have been times where that person will come backstage and they're like, oh, okay, I'm doing this, and they'll talk to the people in their match and they're like, okay, let's go. Man, it goes smoothly. So this time when I'm like, Raja's not coming backstage to talk to us, everybody in the match already kind of felt off about it to begin with. Like the spot was weird and it was just managed in a way that we were already like confused about it, you know?
Mm. Yeah, usually someone would be brought into the back. You'd figure out the timing, what's going to happen, and it's also for your own safety too. You mentioned you have some issues earlier on in your run, like you want to make sure everyone is safe and knows exactly what to do. I got to ask you, man. I want to show you this quick video of, and you would have seen this 100 times, but him and AJ Mana and this moment in the back here.
So when you run in on his shit, you fucking give him his receipt. Remember what a receipt is? Give him that fucking receipt, bro. Tag this shit.
So when you saw AJ say that to him, and of course, like, I don't know what kind of guy AJ is. He might be a nice guy. He might not be, but that's a strange thing to say to someone that doesn't know how to work, to go out there and hit someone with a receipt. So for people that watch this, that are outside of the pro wrestling world, you know, a receipt is basically like you can hit someone back for real after they land a real shot. But Raja doesn't know what a receipt is. He's from the MMA world. And also, it's very rare you get an outsider in and then have a veteran or someone in the back instruct them to do that. When you saw that footage back, what was your reaction?
When I saw that, I very much was like, man, I was disappointed because I'm like, to me, like, it's very clear watching the stream that Raja is upset about what happened. You know, very obviously, he didn't show up to the building expecting to be hit with a beer can. And I feel it was just really like the poorest way to go about it. Like I would understand if Raja was another wrestler. I would understand that. But this is, again, like you said, this is somebody from the MMA world. It's the equivalent of trying to bring somebody to a new country and expecting them to understand the language of that country. Like, you really can't, like, if you tell a trained fighter, like, hey, go in there, tag your shit, like, I mean, that's kind of, to me, that's kind of like, you know, you should know better, especially as somebody has like feet in both avenues. You should know, like, okay, maybe instead of like saying like, hey, go in there, tag him, like, you should probably be like, hey, man, okay, you know, water under the bridge. I feel like trying to de-escalate the situation rather than like put in his head, like, you know what, go in there and tag him. I feel like that would have been the better avenue, as opposed to telling this guy who, again, isn't a pro wrestler, hey, go get your receipt. So I was more disappointed about that, you know, because I feel like it was such an easy way to try and de-escalate the situation, and that wasn't taken. And I think that's where my disappointment comes in from.
But did you get a chance at all to speak to AJ after this whole situation, or?
I spoke to him. I've only had one conversation with him since everything. I had drove to the hospital the night it had happened. It was me and like a couple other wrestlers were there. And I had saw AJ for like maybe a minute or two there. And I had one conversation with him. And it was one of the older wrestlers had like pulled me aside and was like, what was the spot even supposed to be? So I'm telling him like, okay, Raja was supposed to come up, punch Stu, sell to us, and we like work heat on him. And AJ like walked over and he was like, wait, what was the spot? So I explained it again. And AJ tells me like, well, what the, I'm not sure if I can swear, but he was like, what the F is a pro wrestler doing in the ring with an MMA fighter? That makes no sense. And to me, I was like, yeah, I know. I was 2 feet away from it. I know it doesn't make sense. That's why I was uncomfortable with the spot to begin with. And then after that, like, he just went, and he walked away on the phone with somebody. And then after that, I haven't seen him and I haven't talked to him since.
Guys, if you're looking for the best VPN in the game, hit the link in the description below and try out IPVANISH VPN. They are giving you guys a crazy 83% off. That's right, 83% off. Have a look over here. That's only $2.19 a month that starts at. Check that out. These are the options that you have, and you guys get that 3 GB eSIM data gift and a 30-day money-back guarantee if you try it today. It is, of course, blazing fast. There is no logs, advanced encryption. It's truly unlimited. There are so many benefits to having a VPN. If you guys want to watch all of your favorite shows, if you guys want to check out all of the different events from around the world that might not be featured in your country, if you guys want deals on flights and products and all sorts of other things, IPVanish VPN really has you sorted. So do me a favor, click below right now. You support the program when you do. Give this thing a try. 83% off, one of the best VPNs in the game right now. So affordable. Don't worry about having to pay $30, $40 for a VPN. Have one today for as cheap as that. 83% off. My gosh, IPVanish has you sorted. If you're a submission radio watcher, fan, listener, click on the description below and get started on IPVanish today. Yeah, I think it's brutal because obviously what he did is just unacceptable, but also the fact that it was streaming and then we can go back and see it all makes it even more disturbing. You know what I mean? It just makes it even more disappointing and disturbing. I just want to take you into this moment here very quickly. I've kind of skipped forward a little bit, but you're in this moment where you see, you know, Raja is attacked Stu, and here you are in the back here. Before I even play this video, what is going on in your head? It would be, you know, such a difficult situation to comprehend because you're working as a heel. You know that this spot is supposed to happen, and now you've realized that it's gone completely the wrong way. You're also understanding that, you know, Raja, you know, he's a skilled fighter and he's very aggressive. And here you are, you're about to break it up. What is happening in your mind right now as this is sort of unfolding in front of you?
So, like, the reason I was outside of the ring was because, and I hate bringing this up because it feels like an excuse, and like I personally hate like thinking like, oh, you know, I was limited because of this, but like I hurt my arm like in the middle of the match. So when I went outside, I wasn't selling. I was like, okay, let me make sure my arm's good so I can continue this match and we can just go home and be done. And the reason I keep peeking over in the video is because I'm like, oh, Raja missed the spot. I guess we're not doing the spot anymore. Then the music kicked in and I'm still like trying to fix this arm. And I'm like, okay, I hear the music and I'm like, what's happening? And by the time I looked up, Stu's in the air. And like, truthfully, I froze in that moment because I was like, what is happening here? I see Stu's arms like hit and I was like, to me, I'm thinking like, I've seen Stu bump like tens of thousands of times already. That was an odd bump. So I'm like, okay, maybe they called something that was supposed to happen. Because again, it's a huge game of telephone about this whole spot.
Yeah.
So I see Stu go down and then I see the first couple of punches. It was only until I saw Stu's head shift one way and blood shoot that I was like, oh, he's really wailing on him. So that's when I froze, but my main thing was I need to get him off of Stu, or at least attempt to get him off Stu. So that's when I got in right there. But I was terrified for Stu, and I was just like, dude, I need to get him off of him.
Absolutely. And this is just the video here as you pop in. Just for those that missed it. You're trying to stop Raja here. And then of course the Epic jumps in to help out. As you're getting Raja, as you're trying to pull Raja off, obviously it's, you know, it's just brutal because he's just in such a, you know, such an angry mode, Raja, in that moment. You're trying to pull him off. You're in front of the crowd. You know, your arms hurt. And as you try to pull him off, you know, it's so hard to get him off. Like he's just completely mounted Stu and will not get off. As the Epic, just before the Epic came in, like what was going on in your head as you were trying to sort of get him off Stu, and what was that moment like for you?
I mean, I think it's fairly apparent. I was like terrified because I'm looking at Stu and I'm like, dude, he really is messed up right now. But my second thought was, okay, I need to try to get him off. And when I lost grip the first time, that's why I was like, dude, come on. That's why when I hooked him under the arm, I was like, I can't grab him with this arm. Maybe I can try and do something to get him off, or like stall him or something. And that's why I hook him under, because I'm like, I'm going to have a better grip here. When he started turning towards me, truthfully, I was already like, he's going to start wailing on me. So I was already like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to have to either like just get my hands up or try and like hope somebody's going to hop in the ring. That's when Doug came in, and right off the bat, I was confused why Doug was there, because he had just wrestled. But I was like, okay, thank God Doug is here, because I mean, again, truthfully, I like I said, I had 2 previous concussions back in 2022. If Raja had got the chance, I probably wouldn't have survived those shots. Like, I know that. And that's why when Doug came in, I was like, thank God Doug's here. So when Doug got him, I've seen Doug wrestle before. I know Doug is a tank, dude. So when he got in there, I was like, Doug's got him. Then I saw the rest of the roster come in, and I was like, okay, they got Stu. I mean, they got Raja. I was like, we need to get Stu out of here. And that's why, like, you know, I do want to say, like, everybody else in the match that froze, and people that are like, oh, why didn't X person do this or that? I understand where those people are coming from, but at the same time, it's harder to process something when you're seeing like somebody that's a coach or a mentor or like an uncle to you. When it's happening to that person in that moment, it's the way I view it was like it's way harder to process than just some random person getting beat up in front of a bar, you know?
Mm.
But to me in that moment, I was terrified. I was like, dude, this guy is wailing on Stu. He's probably going to turn around and wail on me if I try to get him. But I was like, you know what? I just need to get him off Stu because I don't know if Stu, at this point, I'm personally like, I don't know if Stu's even breathing anymore. I know for a fact Stu's not going to be able to take any more of these punches. So that was my mentality of I need to try and get him off. And thankfully, again, I can't give him his flowers enough, but Doug stepping in was he saved Stu 100%. Him, the other guy with the face paint, Grimly, with the chicken bag, and another talent, Ray Rico, also stepped in there. You know, I also want to give those guys their flowers because they were quick on it too. You know.
Yeah, but I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit, man. Like you stepped in, you had a hurt arm, and I think, have you had a chance to reflect now that Stu is doing better? Have you had a chance to reflect and give yourself a little bit of credit for at least stepping in that moment? Because I think you stepping in that moment, and for everyone that reviewed the footage, I mean, that was a massive game changer. I think that was the key moment that allowed the Epic to come in, and thankfully Stu's doing better. Have you had a chance to at least give yourself a little bit of credit for this?
I mean, truthfully, I've tried to. I've had like friends or family like tell me like, dude, you like that was a ballsy thing to do to step in there because this is a like actual like trained fighter who's not pulling any of his punches and is just going to town seeing red. They've tried to give me credit. Me personally, I very much don't give myself a ton of credit, but I think that's just like the self-deprecation in me talking of like, oh well, why didn't you get in sooner? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? But I mean, truthfully, like I had a talk with like some of my friends and they were like, you can't play the I could have done this, I should have done that game. They were like, you stepped in and that's what matters. And like, even talking with people that are closest to, they were like, no, you stepping in changed a lot. Like they were like, truthfully, that means a lot. And I try to give myself some credit. Some days I'm like, you know what? I did a good thing. Yeah. But there are other days where I'm like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? So it's back and forth some days, honestly.
Well, dude, I want to tell you that I think you deserve a lot of credit. You need to be kind to yourself. Don't be hard on yourself, man. What you did was really, really impressive. And that shows by the fact that Stu at least is in a position where he can recover. And I think you need to give yourself a lot more credit and a lot more grace. Just quickly, I know after this, it's been a difficult time for you. Before I get to your statement on social media about pro wrestling and your future, Doug told me you were getting a little bit of hate on social media or something. Like, talk to me. Like, what has this period been like for you? I know it hasn't been easy.
Yeah, I definitely I got some hate like the first couple of days, like fresh off the incident. I saw a lot of people like, oh, why didn't this guy do more? Why didn't he do this? And like even like the night it happened when I got back home from the hospital, on one of the promos I had previously posted where it was like my thoughts on this match.
Yeah.
Somebody commented, what were your thoughts about Raja? And I turned my phone off after that because I was like, it's gonna start. I was like, this is already gonna start like snowballing into like people DMing me or people tagging me and stuff. And it did, like, there was a comment one day like where I commented under Stu's post. I was like, we love you, Stu, and we're backing you. And some guy was like, oh, if you really did, you would have tried harder to pull Raj off. And I was like,
my God,
man. I will say, like, there have been a couple comments though. I am trying to keep my head up with it because, Doug coming on this show and clearing up a lot of things, I did see a turnaround on that. And like you have guys like Stevie Richards or guys like Jim Cornette like talking about the subject, and they're like, no, this kid like stepped up, he did, like, you guys need to chill, that slowly started shifting the narrative of, oh, this guy didn't do anything, to, oh, this kid actually stepped in, props to him. There was one comment that, like, it was hating on me, but it did make me laugh a little bit. It was like, damn, the situation sucks. By the way, Sting let himself go, bro. and, and like, I was like, okay, you know, that got a good laugh out of me. But you know, it's definitely been an experience where I'm like, you know, I've had to try and like not look for negative comments now, because now that's what I slowly started doing. I was like looking to see if I can find any negative comments, and I wasn't even acknowledging any of the positive ones. So I've definitely started like changing that approach. I have gotten some love, you know, from friends, family, other wrestlers, other promoters, other people inside and outside the business. So the hate has definitely dimmed down, but you know, you have your people every now and then. You know, it's the internet. You really can't do anything about that.
Well, dude, I think you're I think you're a really impressive young man. People don't realize that just at the start of your career, and you stepped in there, you did such a good job. And it's always hard because you always notice the negative comments and you never take in the positive ones. But I just want to make sure, again, to reinstate, you know, what you and Doug did went a long way into saving Stu, and you should be really proud of yourself. And don't be hard on yourself, because you did an amazing job. Just quickly, I saw you put out a social media statement. You're done with Knox Pro, or the organization, and you also mentioned your future in wrestling as Doomsday. Like, I think anybody who watches this, we'd love to support you, man. Like, I'd love to see you in a show. I'd love to, you know, come in, get some merch, you know, try and get behind you. But you might be taking a break from wrestling. Take us into it, man. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, I'm definitely taking this month off as like just a mental break, because personally, I told like my best friend in wrestling, Gold Champagne. He's one of my favorite people to like watch. He's a great wrestler. If anybody like has seen Gold Champagne, you know he's like a captivating performer. But when I was talking to him, I was like, dude, I said, this week has felt like a month. And like, I had some personal stuff going on in the beginning of this year that I was like, okay, you know, wrestling is kind of my escape from that. And then this kicked off, and I was like, all right, I kind of just need a mental break from wrestling right now. So like this whole month of September is kind of just me like focusing on myself mentally, so that when I do eventually come back, I'm in a better headspace. Because I think that's something that not a lot of people talk about, is like, yeah, physical health matters when you're a wrestler, but mental health can also like really affect how you perform in the ring. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that. So like, to me, I was like, I want to take this mental break to get right mentally before I try and get back in the ring physically. That was my thinking of it.
And in terms of your mental welfare, you're doing a little bit better. Do you feel like things are a little bit better than a few weeks ago?
Yeah. I will say, like, one thing that has helped was getting the opportunity to talk to Stu and his wife. I got to go over to their place and just speak to them. And like, you know, I won't go into the conversation just out of respect for Stu and his wife, but that personally, like mentally, like really calmed me down, and it felt like a weight lifted off my shoulder. Like seeing Stu smile or seeing him laugh, you know, that was like, okay, he's going to be okay. It's going to be a long road to recovery, but he's going to be fine. That to me mentally kind of put me at ease with a lot of things. And, you know, definitely I'm definitely feeling better. And especially like with me personally, checking in on like all the members of the locker room has definitely helped me mentally, because to me, I'm like, it wasn't just me that saw this. Everybody backstage felt this. I need to make sure they're okay as well. You know, it's not just how I'm doing mentally. I need to check in with my brothers and sisters back there. So also getting to talk with them has also been a big help with like mentally easing my like any sort of like mental anguish that I was having.
Well, dude, it's great that you were able to catch up with Stu and pop around there. I know that we spoke before this interview. We don't want to get too much into what you spoke about, but being able to get in there and see him and spend some time with him you know, I'm glad that you were able to get a moment with him. It sounds so good. Of course, I'm just reminding everybody at home, jump on the donation page today. Donate to Stu. It goes a long way. But as we wrap up, dude, like I want everybody out there to go. I'll have your social media down below. I want them to jump on, give you a follow, and if they can, check you out at a show. How do we find out what's next for you? How do we support Doomsday? Or you're a heel, but how do we still support you with our booze and some merch buys and everything else?
I mean, like you said, putting the Instagram down there. Also, another thing, if people just see my Instagram, me personally, I'm not really a big clout guy. If you just go to the page, Stu's GoFundMe is also in my bio there. So you don't need to follow me, just donate to that. That's all I really ask. But as far as like how to support me, again, it's the Instagram. I'll definitely end up having to set up a separate email for bookings. But yeah, and like, you know, I'm already talking to some artists to try and commission merch for shirts. So I'll definitely set up an online store in case anybody wants to buy any sort of merch. But you know, for me right now, I appreciate the support, but you know, my main thing is like, go support Stu, support that GoFundMe. And if people like what they're hearing from me, or if they like my fancy pro wrestling skills, you know, my Instagram will be in the bio at I'm Doom_187.
And also, of course, you finished up with Nox Pro. So if there's any booking opportunities, I'm looking at people in Australia, New Zealand, around the world. Let's get Elias down here, and of course across America as well. I want to see him get his opportunity. And you let me know when that online shop is open. I'll put it up here on Submission Rate. I'll be the first one to buy a t-shirt. Man, you should be so proud of yourself. I appreciate you for joining me. And of course, make sure everybody out there, donate to Stu if you haven't yet. And of course, follow this man right here, Elias. I appreciate you, dude. You're a hero, man, and you need to give yourself the credit that you deserve. I'm happy that you're feeling a little bit better, and I can't wait to see what's next for you. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.